Jesus has a whatever it takes mindset when it comes to seeking out and finding lost people, wherever they might be. Just picture the heart of Jesus. Jesus is like on his hands and knees with a flashlight looking for wherever lost people might be. He's willing to sweep and turn up the entire house, turn it inside out in order to find just one lost person. This is the heart of Jesus. So, Luke chapter 15 is where we are on this special Sunday. Here in Luke 15, Jesus gives a series of 3 parables, all directed, all aimed at this theme of being lost or lost people. It's really a set of 3 parables about how much Jesus loves his focus, his ministry vision is focused on reaching those who are spiritually lost. He first talks about the spiritually lost parable of the sheep, and then the lost coin, and then he's going to finish with the lost sons of the Father. And what we want to look at today is the second of these 3 parables, the parable of the lost coin. The parable of the lost coin. And then we're going to see how does Jesus' heart, his vision, his mission really impact us as a church and our vision and our focus in ministry as well. So Luke chapter 15, I'm going to give you the context in the first 3 verses and then move over to verse 8. So Luke 15, starting at verse 1. Now the tax collectors and the sinners were all drawing near to hear Jesus. And the Pharisees and the scribes grumbled, saying, "This man receives sinners and eats with them." And so Jesus told them this parable, and we go to verse 8. "What woman, having 10 silver coins, if she loses one, does not light a lamp and sweep the whole house, diligently seeking until she finds it? And when she has found it, she calls together all of her friends and her neighbors, saying, 'Rejoice with me, for I have found the coin that I had lost.' Then Jesus says this, 'Just so I tell you, there is joy before the angels of God over just one sinner who repents.'" Now, what is it that prompted Jesus to share this parable and the other parables of the lost that talk about his heart for the lost? Well, what prompted this is really what the religious leaders were thinking and seeing. The religious leaders, these scribes and Pharisees, are questioning Jesus, sort of judging Jesus and his motives and his methods when it came to who he was ministering with. Now, what were the religious leaders? What was their vision? What was their focus aimed at? Well, the aim of their ministry was the insiders. That is, the people that were already God-fearing people, already religious people, the insiders who dressed like them and talked like them and had the same moral vision for the world as them. It was their people, and their focus was all on their own people, the insiders. Now, who was Jesus' focus? What was his aim in ministry? It was the exact opposite, actually. It was the outsiders. It was the people that were far from God, the people that looked different and talked different and kind of had a different vocabulary, a little bit rough around the edges maybe, the people that had their skeptical, thorny questions. These were the people that Jesus focused his time with. And this really bothered the religious leaders, which is why these parables kind of came out of that mentality. Now think about this, that the very Son of God, the Holy One, God in flesh, invited in and welcomed the sinners, the lost, the lonely, the left out, the skeptics, the non-religious types. And these types, the outsiders, felt incredibly comfortable and safe being around Jesus. They felt fine eating in front of him and drinking with him and conversating with him. It tells you something about the welcoming presence of Jesus, does it not? How Jesus must have been, just from his very smile, his very presence, a warm, inviting presence, sort of somebody that you felt like you could open up to and tell everything, even your darkest, deepest stuff. Jesus wasn't at all anxious or put off or offended by some of their language. He was okay and patient with the fact that they had big questions and maybe moral opinions or even political opinions that maybe differed from him. You see it? And so what does this teach us? Well, it teaches us that if Jesus had a vision of welcoming in the lost, then friends, so must we. We must have a vision that reaches the non-religious, that reaches the church dropouts and the skeptics and the lost and the overlooked, the people who think about the world very differently than us. And we must do this with the very same kind of spirit and presence and attitude of Jesus, with a welcoming smile and a warm heart and expectation that they're going to come and that we get to minister and love them. A hospitable spirit, a non-judgmental, patient presence that Jesus himself had. And we need to do this not only through our ministries and our people, but we also need to do this through our facilities, our building. One of the things that facilities do is they facilitate ministry. And if our ministry focus is reaching people for Jesus Christ, then that's what we need to do with our building. And that's really at the heart of our On the Move vision, this renovation campaign that we've been on the last year or so. We want to make our churches warm and welcoming and accessible and safe for all people as possible. And so today you're going to hear an update from Pastor Todd on this, about where we're at with our renovation progress and our timeline and our funding so far. But just know that your financial investment in On the Move is one of the ways that you are demonstrating your heart, your ministry heart for people that are lost. People, like, by the way, all of us either are or once were before Jesus found us as well. Jesus doesn't just welcome the lost, though. What we're going to see next is, in this parable, is the action of the woman. And in this parable, when this woman realizes that she lost the coin, what does she do? She's not like, I've got, 9 other ones. Big deal. That's not what she does. She turns the lights on. She gets the lamp. She's searching. She's upending couch cushions. She's sweeping every single nook and cranny that is in that house until she finds that one lost coin. What a picture. Have you ever lost something? I'm sure we all lost something valuable. You ever lose something or misplace something valuable? Set of keys, your wallet, a passport right before you're about to travel internationally. Okay, students, don't do that. I've done that. Don't do it. Not fun. One of our sons, several years ago, we just bought him a new set of AirPods, and within weeks, they went missing. And we turned the house upside down. We pulled out couches. We looked under rugs. We flipped his room over. We got on our hands and knees with a flashlight all around the car, looking at every nook and cranny. Why? Because we had a whatever it takes mentality when it came to finding those AirPods. They were valuable, and so that's what it took. Now, sadly, we never found those AirPods. We had to replace them. Get an AirTag, by the way. It's a good idea. But thankfully, this woman found her lost coin. What is this telling us about Jesus' heart, this woman's heart? It's telling us that Jesus has a whatever it takes mindset when it comes to seeking out and finding lost people, wherever they might be. He's a whatever it takes mentality. Just picture the heart of Jesus. Jesus is like on his hands and knees with a flashlight looking for wherever lost people might be. He's willing to sweep and turn up the entire house, turn it inside out in order to find just one lost person. This is the heart of Jesus. And if this is Jesus' heart, friends, this must be our heart as well. If Jesus has a whatever it takes mindset when it comes to seeking and finding lost people, then so must we. Not only do we welcome them in, but we diligently seek them. We have to build ministry and infrastructure around finding them. And we have to do whatever it takes. If that means sacrificing our resources, then we'll do whatever it takes as a church. If it means giving more of our time or our talents or our treasures financially in order to reach more lost people, then we do whatever it takes. If you need to expand more spots in our VBS ministry to reach more children, we are going to do whatever it takes. If we need to create more accessible spaces and find new ways to make changes to be more inclusive to children and families and teens that have special needs, then we're going to do whatever it takes. If it means that we need to add a third service because we're crowded and we need to make more room for more people to experience a relationship with Jesus and hear about him and worship, then we're going to do whatever it takes. And some of that for us might mean coming a little earlier to a service or going a little later to a service or serving at a couple of services to make sure that happens. or maybe even getting uncomfortable a little bit and serving in a new way that you haven't served before. But this is the mentality of Jesus. It's a whatever it takes mentality, because people matter to God and they matter to us. Jesus welcomes in the lost. Jesus seeks out the lost with a whatever it takes mentality. But then watch what happens in the parable. What happens when the woman finally finds the lost coin? She goes, oh, good. Now let me get back to business. What's the next project? It's not what she does. What does she do? She celebrates. She takes time. In our modern day, we might say she would have, texted all of her neighbors. She would have, Instagrammed out, I don't know what you do, post, out to all of her friends. She sent invitations to everyone, and she invited the neighborhood to come in. And she throws a party. She pops the bottles. She gets a disco ball. Get the music dancing. She's excited. She found the coin. It's time to celebrate. She couldn't just keep her excitement to herself and move on. She had to take time to celebrate. And what this means is telling us something about Jesus and the heart of Jesus. In fact, the heart of heaven. That if Jesus rejoices when just one lost person is found, then friends, so must we. It's why we celebrate in the waters of baptism today, seeing 9 people be baptized and celebrate a transformed life by Jesus. To celebrate people who are lost and now are found. When even one sinner comes to repentance, when the light gets turned on, when a life gets changed, when a marriage on the brink of ending gets repaired through one of our ministry, when someone is struggling in addiction and thinking, this is it for me, and God reaches them and finds them and reconnects them and helps them continue walking strongly. This is when we celebrate. When we're about to have VBS this summer, and many kids, maybe for the first time, read the Bible or hear about Jesus and trust him or rededicate their life, we celebrate. Because every life matters. And if the angels are rejoicing in heaven, that is literal, by the way. That actually happens. It's not a figure of speech. Then so should we. May we be people who rejoice at just one life transformed. This is Jesus, and this is the heart of our church. I hope that gets you excited. I hope that says, man, that's the kind of church I want to be at. That's the kind of church I want to give to and sacrifice for. That's the kind of place that I want to make my family.